Hey guys! So today I'm going to be doing my June wrap up, and in the spirit of full disclosure, I literally just did my makeup. Like, I'm still in pajamas because I don't feel like getting I didn't feel like getting dressed. I literally did my makeup just so I could do this video because that's all that I'm doing today. I mainly plan to just read today. I have like this random day off because it's July 4th, and so there's no deliveries because UPS and all those places, like, they're not doing any deliveries because of the holidays. So that meant I got to have the day off work, which is A plus plus. And then I also have Saturday and Sunday off, and I get to go to Warped Tour this weekend. I am so excited about it. You have no idea. It's gonna be the last one, and it's gonna be so sad, but like Mayday Parade's gonna be there, and Dollskin and We the Kings, and I'm just so excited to go see all of the bands, and it's gonna be amazing. But like, low key, I ordered a Mayday Parade shirt from Amazon because I went to Hot Topic and they didn't have any, and I was freaking out because I'm like, how can Hot Topic has never failed me before? How can they fail me? And so I went on Amazon and ordered one, and I have like Prime, so I have 2-day free shipping, but it's like it's not gonna get here till Friday because of the holiday or whatever. And I was like, as long as it gets here Friday, because Saturday is Warped Tour, so it has to get here Friday. And then I was looking last night and it said that there was an unexpected delay, and I'm like, okay, literally though, if it doesn't get here by Friday, I like just want to like, cancel it and get my money back, because literally there's no point if it doesn't get here before Saturday, because there's just no point. That's the whole reason I want the shirt, is so I can wear it to Warped Tour. So I'm annoyed. I'm really annoyed. And it was like an expensive shirt too. It was like $20. Like, what? You know? But anyway, so there's that. Oh, but you guys, I just bought the most amazing thing on Etsy. Like, I'm really not an Etsy user. I've only done one order ever, and that was for a friend. It was a gift because she just wanted like some kind of like necklace, and she said, like, Harry Potter fandom-y, and she said there's a lot of great stuff on Etsy. So I went on Etsy and I found one, and she loved it. It was a necklace, and it said, don't let the muggles get you down. And it was so cute. And so, but that's like literally the only thing I've like ordered on Etsy, I think. But I was just scrolling through while I was watching BookTube, and someone had magnetic bookmarks of Sam, Dean, and Castiel from Supernatural, and I just could not, because I was just like, how did I not know that these were in existence? And like, I clicked buy now so fast, and I'm so excited to get them. It's gonna take a little while, probably, but I'm so excited. And it like said like 5 other people had it in their cart, so I guess they were like trying to decide whether or not to buy them. But like, I bought them, and now they're gone, and like, I'm sorry but not sorry, because you guys, Supernatural is like the greatest thing in the universe after Harry Potter. Which you all already know. I don't know why I'm doing this long rambly thing. This video is going to be long enough because guess what? I read 30 books in the month of June. And you guys know I was trying to put an emphasis on LGBTQIA plus reads, which I read a lot of those this month. Near the end of the month, though, I fell off the bandwagon just a little bit, just because I was getting so sick of contemporary, and that's mainly the bulk of where the LGBTQIA plus books were, because I've already read like the most of the like known fantasy ones. But anyway, I had a great reading month, so let's just get into it. The first book I read this month was The Crown's Fate by Evelyn Skye, which is the sequel to The Ground's Game. I read that a couple years ago, and then I listened to this on audiobook while I was at work, and I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. The first one I thought was really good, and I really loved like the competition, and I loved like the magic and how they were doing their stuff and everything, and I really loved the first book. The first book was great, but the second book was just, it was really bad, and I hated how the characters, like specifically one character, was in the sequel, and I hated the direction that it went. Like, I hated the plot of the second book. So yeah, I ended up giving this one like a 3 out of 5 because the ending was good, but the rest of the book was trash. Like, it was a trash fire, so. The next book I read was Son of the Dawn by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Rees Brennan. This is the first book in the Ghosts of the Shadow Market, like, novella series thing that she's doing, and I can't believe that I can have this, like, so many emotions reading a novella that is under 50 pages, because I just, like, basically, like, the main character in all of these is gonna be Brother Zachariah, and I have so many feelings, and there's so many things, and you see all of, like, the characters from, like, both the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices, and I'm sure later on that we'll also see characters from the Dark Artifices in there as well, but for now it's, like, just those two. But, like, I have so many feelings, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because I was just in shock of how many feelings I had reading something that was less than 50 pages. I went through so many emotions, and I was like, this is fantastic, and I cannot wait until December when Queen of Air and Darkness comes out. But I feel like I'm the only one that is fucking bitter as hell that all those fucks that were like, I want the conclusion, I want the conclusion, I want the conclusion. And so instead of waiting until 2019 to get Queen of Air and Darkness, like it was supposed to happen, and then getting the first book in the Chains of Gold series, or The Last Hours, or whatever. I think Chains of Gold is actually the first book in the series. It's called The Last Hours. It's something like that. But all I know is that Matthew Fairchild is going to be in it. And you bitches, because you had to go and complain and be little shits, I have to wait until 2019 for more Matthew Fairchild, for a full book full of Matthew Fairchild. And I am fucking bitter. Okay, because I could have waited. Like, I could have waited on Queen and Air of Darkness. Like, I love that series, but, like, you guys don't understand the love that I have for Matthew Fairchild. I love Matthew Fairchild with the power of 1,000 suns. And so I'm bitter. And I probably should have talked about this later, but I also read the, where is it? Hold on. Yeah, so I also read Cast Long Shadows this month, which is the second one in this series. And this one I actually bought because the other one I got from Overdrive from my library, but they didn't have the other ones on there. And I was just, like, looking at this on Kindle, and I wasn't going to buy it. I was like, oh, I'll just wait till the library gets it. You know, I'm not, like, dying to read them, like, have to read them right now this moment. But, like, it had the synopsis, and Matthew Fairchild was in it, and I was like, I'm buying this right now. And I read it in like an hour. This one was a little longer, thankfully. It was like 70 pages, I think. And I read it, and I was just like, I love Matthew Fairchild so much, you guys. And again, I'm just so bitter that I have to wait so long for a full book of Matthew Fairchild. And that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, we're gonna continue now. I know that was long. It's just, I just have so many feelings about it. Sorry, I'm having to move these books. Okay, so the next book I read was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. I've been doing the reread of Harry Potter with everybody on Twitter and stuff, the big thing that's going on. And I've been having the best time. And, like, you guys, I love this book so much. Like, I don't know if you know, but Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite book in the series. I love it so much. And I just feel like this is, like, I think the reason why I like this one so much is because there is such an emphasis on Sirius and Remus and, like, the Marauders in general. And I just love learning more about the Marauders. Like, they're one of my absolute favorite things about Harry Potter is the Marauders. And I want a Marauder series more than I want anything else in my entire life. Like, that's all I want. I just want a Marauder series. I want a 7-book series about the Marauders and their time at Hogwarts, and I want every single fucking book to be like 600 pages long. And it would be amazing. It would be the greatest thing to ever happen. You know, I'd die. Okay, we're gonna stop talking about this now, but, like, 5 out of 5, obviously. Love it. Also, the illustrations in this one just had me like, oh. I'm sorry that I'm having to, like, do this. It's really annoying. Okay. The next book I read was Caraval by Toya Mikigami. This is a manga, obviously. And it's really weird, actually. It's about, like, this kid, and he was, like, orphaned or something, and he was, like, in this forest, and this other guy found him and took care of him like a brother. And then he disappears one day, and all he has left is this bracelet that he left behind, and, like, it was found in, like, a pool of blood, and so he doesn't know what happened to him. And like I said, he's, like, younger, so he doesn't, like, understand everything. He's, like, extremely innocent, and, like, it's weird. There's some weird stuff that happens, but it was really good. And this is actually a manga that I actually picked up, and I didn't know anything about it. I just knew it was chunky, and I just thought the artwork was beautiful, and I just was curious. So I pretty much picked this up without knowing anything about it, and I'm so happy that I wasn't, like, that I didn't hate it or anything. I actually really enjoyed it, so that was good, because I've never done that. I always pick up mangas that I know something about, or I know for sure probably will love, because mangas are expensive and you read them so quickly. But this was so good, and I'm definitely going to continue on with it. And I gave this a 4 out of 5. The next book I read was another audiobook I listened to at work, and that was If I Was a Girl by Meredith Russo. And this is all about a transgendered teen who was going to a school, but when the people found out that she was transgendered, they bullied her really bad, and she actually ended up in the hospital with some very serious injuries. And so she ends up moving and going to live with her dad, who she hasn't really talked to very much in, like, the last few years, since him and her mom like, split up. And so she goes and lives with him, and he's, like, not completely on board with, like, with her being transgendered, but he definitely grows throughout the story, and it's really, really beautiful to witness how he, like, comes to terms and everything. And I just love, like, the relationship development between her and her dad. And then, yeah, but so she goes to this new school, and she can't decide whether or not to tell her new friends that she makes if that she's transgendered or not. But it was a really good book, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I definitely recommend it to, like, everybody. I think it's one of those books that's really important, and that I think everybody should read, because I think everybody can get something out of it. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Girls Made of Snow and Glass by Melissa Bathershot, I think. And this was really good. Basically, it's like a Snow White retelling, but her and her stepmom are actually really close, which her dad kind of has a problem with later on, and it's really weird. But the Snow White character, she actually falls in love with this surgeon that has come to White Castle, which is, like, this manor that they are that they live at, and she ends up falling in love with her, and it's super cute, and it's a really trippy book. Like, it's got you going, like, huh, sometimes, but, like, in a good way, because it's definitely not a predictable read at all. It definitely has a bunch of twists and turns, and I really enjoyed it. And I gave it a 4 out of 5. The next book I read was Let's Talk About Love by Claire Can, and this was another one I got from my library, obviously. And I really, really enjoyed it. I was, like, livid, though, like, the first, like, couple chapters, because her girlfriend breaks up with her because she tells her that she's asexual. And it's just, wow, what a piece of shit human being. Like, I hate her so much. And but anyway, and so then she's doing this summer job at the library, and she meets this guy who just started there, and they start having this really amazing connection. Like, the connection between those two is just, it's everything, and I desperately would love to, like, have something similar, like a friendship, like, because I'm already taken, but like, you know what I mean. Like the way that they like just get each other so deeply and everything. I think it's amazing. But yeah, and he's such an amazing character. I have like the biggest crush on him like ever, and I haven't had like a real like a crush on a character in a while, where I'm like, well, I guess not on a guy character. I've had plenty of crushes on like female characters of late, but I don't know. I've just been like very anti the guys lately in the books, because none of them have been like completely great. But whole man. But yeah, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic. It's a super quick, super amazing read, and I loved it. I thought it was great. The next book I read was Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert, and this is one I've been trying to read for a while. I have gotten it out from the library a couple times, and I had gotten like 120 pages in, and I just kept putting it down because I just wasn't feeling it. So I finally picked it up on audiobook while I was at work, and I finally finished it, and I did end up enjoying it. There was just like a certain hump in the story that like you kind of have to get over to like, you know, kind of get there. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really loved the way that the bipolar rep was done, because I am bipolar. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I really resonated with like how Lionel was talking about how he doesn't want to be on the pills. Like, he doesn't want to have to take a pill every day for the rest of his life to feel okay, because that is definitely something that I have struggled with, because I don't take medication for it, and I just, because a lot of the people in my family that have it do, and I just don't want to, and like I feel the same way. Like, I don't want to have to be dependent on a pill for every day for the rest of my life. But yeah, I love this book. I thought it was great, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. The next book I read was Fairy Tale Volume 3, which I have been getting from my library, because the library that I have been going to recently has actually got a pretty good manga collection, and so I read Volume 3, and it was real cute. I really like Fairy Tale. I just like how the characters are done, and I don't know, I just think like the guild, like the politics of the guild are just super interesting. Yeah, it's definitely a weird read, but it's a really good one. And I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars as well. The next book I read was actually for the Rainbow Reads book club that Alyssa over at Pucks and Paperback does, and that was Dress Codes for Small Towns by Courtney Stevens. And again, I really resonated with this book because I am from an extremely small town, like super, super small. Like, everybody knows everybody, and everybody knows each other's business, and like, yeah, it's just crazy. But I really, really enjoyed it, and there are like so many amazing quotes in this that are just like, I just love it. Like, the main character, she does this thing where she writes out like tombstones like in her head, like she thinks of like what she'd want on her tombstone when she dies, and one of them I just love so much, and it's like her and what day she was born, and like dash, and like obviously she doesn't know what year she's gonna die, so that's blank, but then it's like she collected the best people, and I loved that. I just loved it. And I just loved the friendship dynamic in this, because it's such a big group of friends. They call themselves the Hexagon, and it's just so cute, like how they're really there for each other, and how much they really just all love each other, like completely and unconditionally, and they would just like, they would tear down the world for each other, and I just loved it so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend. And this is like, and our main character Billy, she's like struggling with her sexuality, and there's just it's just so close to home for me, and I love it. Oh, and I forgot to say, in Little and Lion, obviously the main character is bisexual, just like BT dubs. The next book I read was Ugly's Shay's Story, which is a graphic novel that follows Shay from the Ugly series, and basically you get to see like her story, which I think is really interesting, because The Uglies is one of my favorite series of all time. I read it back in middle school, and it was one of the series that was really instrumental in getting me back into reading. And I always had wondered, like, more about Shay, because the series follows Tally, and it's all about, like, her. And you get some stuff about Shay in there because she was, like, Tally's best friend, but you definitely don't get to, like, learn as much about her as you would like. And I just really enjoyed this, and really enjoyed, like, finally knowing what the hell happened. And there was something that happened that I was like, I never knew this. Like, this was never a thing that I was aware of. And so I'm really happy that I read it, because it just, yeah, it definitely, it kind of changed the Ugly series just a little bit, but just because I'm just more like, oh, okay. But yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, again, this is another audiobook I listened to at work, and that was This and Eater's Daughter by, what's her name? By Melinda Salisbury. I thought it was something like that, and I blinked. Anyway. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I thought it was really interesting, like, how the story is told. It's just really, I think it's just really interesting how we kind of, like, we have to kind of learn as we go. We're not really, there's some info dumping, but it's very subtly done, and it's really, like, well crafted is, I think, what I was searching for. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. There were some things that I had an issue with. Some of the characters were just, they seemed a little problematic, so that kind of knocked off some stars for me. But I did really enjoy the story, and our main character is just very fierce. And so yeah, I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Daughter of the Siren Queen, and this was just like, what? I've been waiting to read this book for so long. Like, I had it on hold on Overdrive for forever, and I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting for it to come in, and it finally came in, and I was so excited, and I, like, read it immediately, and oh man, I just love how, like, we actually get to see Alosa being a captain in this book, because in the first one, obviously, she was captured on purpose so that she could search the enemy ship for the map, but this one we actually get to see her on her ship with her crew, and, you know, being captain, and I just love how we get to really see, like, she's just so ruthless, and just, like, she's so smart and, like, witty, and just, like, oh, I just love her so much, and I just enjoyed this book so much, and the plot was, like, crazy. It just kept taking so many twists and turns, and I just couldn't believe some of the stuff that went down. I was just like, what is happening? Yeah, I loved it so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Sweet Blue Flowers, Volume 1 by Takaho Shimara. And this is basically a manga. It's a Yuri manga about these 2 girls that were friends back when they were, like, little, in, like, whatever it's called in Japan. Like, it's elementary school, but I don't know what it actually called in this, because they call their stuff weird. Anyway, but yeah, so they were best friends. Anyway, now they're, like, in high school, and they're reconnecting, and they go to, like, this, like, all-girls school, and it's pretty crazy. Like, I was just like, what is happening? But it was really good, and I'm really excited to continue on with this series. I think it's gonna be amazing. Like, amazing. So, and I gave that a 4 out of 5. The next few books I want to talk about are, like, in the same series, and it's actually, like, a contemporary series, and it's by Bill Kongsberg, and it's Openly Straight is the first book, and wow, I did not expect to like this that much, because basically the premise is about this guy named Rafe, who is openly gay in like his town, and he's very much accepted and everything, but he feels that every time someone looks at him, all they see is the gay kid, rather than him for who he is, like completely, not just his sexuality. And so he ends up going to boarding school, and he has plans to just keep his identity a secret. And so, and it's like an all boys boarding school, whatever. And so he just plans to keep his identity a secret, and try to just have a life where people just see him as who he is rather than his sexuality. And I just, wow, because I am someone that like doesn't put a label on myself, like on my sexuality. I just feel like I'm me. So I really enjoyed like the introspective stuff that we get about labels and like what they mean and how they make people view us and all that stuff. I just thought that was really great. But I really enjoyed this story. I gave it a 5 out of 5. And then the next book is like a little novella that pieces together Openly Straight, and then the next book, and then its sequel, when the novella is called Openly Honestly, and I gave it 4 out of 5. It was so cute. I was like dying through so much of it because there was just so many feels and so many everything, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And then the next one is Honestly Ben, which is the sequel, and I can't. And like there's this great moment when Ben is talking to Rafe's parents, and they're talking about labels and everything, and it's just that conversation, you guys, was like everything. I felt so like represented and so like validated in a way. I just, wow. But yeah, and I gave that one a 5 out of 5. Like, if you haven't read these books, and if you were like me and you were kind of scared of the premise, because it does sound kind of problematic, but it's done in a really great way, because Rafe definitely learns his lesson like at the end, and I just, you guys, and this is like one of my favorite like things I've ever read. Like, it's just so good, and I'm so happy that I read it, and I'm so happy I read it during Pride Month. It was perfection, and I highly recommend everyone to go read it. I will link my review that I did on the blog that Kristen and I have for it on like down below. The next book I read was The Summer of Jordi Perez by Amy Spalding, and this was so cute, and it went by pretty quick, and I really enjoyed like the characters in this. Jordi Perez is just such a fucking babe, like, wow. But yeah, it was super cute, it was super quick, and it definitely just had like everything I wanted out of it. Like, it was finally the cute, fluffy FF romance that we all deserve and have been waiting for. Like, there was like a little angst. I mean, there's always got to be angst, but you know what I mean? Like, it didn't end tragically, like nobody died, you know what I mean? Because that seems to be the running theme with FF romance, is someone's gotta die, or someone has to be kidnapped, or there has to be something very tragic. Something very tragic always has to happen, and like nothing tragic happened. It was great. So yeah, I give this a 4 out of 5, and I highly recommend. The next book I read was Fistful of Charms by Kim Harrison, which is it the third or the fourth? Maybe the third. I don't know. It's one of the books in the Hollow series. Me and Kristen have been buddy reading that, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it more than the last one that we read. That one kind of just got on my nerves. This one was definitely a lot more fun. It had some great humorous moments and everything, and I really enjoyed just how like it was done. And I really enjoyed the characters in this one and everything, but like I am unhappy about something that happened. I'm just like, why? You can probably guess. I can't stand that character, guys. I can't stand him. I hate him so much. Anyway, His name starts with the letter N. That's all I'm gonna say. You'll know, because I don't want you guys to think I hate one of the other characters that I actually love. But his name starts with the letter N, and I hate him so much. Okay, bye. And then the next book I read this month was Goblet of Fire, which, again, doing the reread, I read Goblet of Fire, and, like, normally this has been, like, my least favorite in the series, but I think that's not the case anymore. Like, I just really enjoyed it this time. I think in the past, like, the reason why it's always been my least favorite is because I cannot stand Harry and Ron fighting. Like, Harry and Ron fighting, just, it's the worst thing ever, and I hate it because I love them so much, and I just want them to be happy and together, and like, I love Harry and Ron. Like, their friendship is everything to me. And so if they're fighting, I just really hate it. And I gave that a 5 out of 5. Obviously. The next book I read was Bloom Into You Volume 3 by Nataki Neo. And I've talked about this before. I read Volume 3. Super cute. I'm really enjoying where the story is going. And I'm really excited to pick up the next few volumes. And I gave that one a 4 out of 5. The next book I read was Social Intercourse by Greg Howard. And I picked this up on a whim at work. I just came in one day and I looked at the cover and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I read the back and it was just so hilarious. Basically, like, the part where it was like, but mom catches me checking out some dick pics on my phone one time and she up and joins P-Flag the next day. So typical. And it's basically about this guy who's like the quarterback on the football team or whatever, and he has 2 moms, and he loves his 2 moms, and he's so supportive, and but they just recently broke up, which he is just devastated over because he just wants them to be together. Because it's all he's ever known. He actually had like a really traumatic childhood that you learn about in this, and that's why it's so important for him, for his moms to be together and be happy, because they really like saved him. Anyway, and then it's also about this boy, Beck, who, it's just him and his dad, and they like watch Golden Girls together all the time, and they call each other like some of their names, and it's super cute, and he's openly gay. He's very, okay with it, and very accepting of himself, but basically these two kind of have a thing, like they kind of have to like get together to try to break their parents up, because one of Jackson's moms is dating Beck's dad, and they're like trying to break them up because Beck's mom comes back and Jackson just wants his moms to be together, and and of course something happens with them, and it's so good. I highly recommend this, guys. It's a lot of fun. Like, it's something that you can't take too seriously. Like, don't take it too seriously, and I think you'll really enjoy it. And I gave it 4 out of 5. And the next book I read was The Assassin's Curse by Cassandra Rose Clark. So I was trying to do reading double, and I should have read the second book in this, but then life happened. But I did read this first one, and I'm so glad I finally did, because this has been on my TBR for so long, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm kind of surprised I waited so long to read this, because it was, again, really, really good. But yeah, it's basically about this girl, and she's like the daughter of pirates, and basically they are marrying her off to this other like clan of pirates. Like, they're marrying her off to like the sun, and she doesn't want to be married because she wants to have her own ship and be captain and all that. So she runs away, and they end up sending this assassin after her, but she saves his life, and so then he is bound by an oath to protect her after that because she saved his life. And it's basically about them trying to find a way to get that curse off so that they don't always have to be together. But of course stuff is happening, and it's crazy. There's a lot of adventures. Really enjoyed this, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. The next book I read was another audiobook I listened to at work, and that was The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Chris Colfer, and I just love reading Chris Colfer's books on audio because he narrates all of them and he just does such a phenomenal job. And I'm so obsessed with him, and I really enjoyed The Wishing Spell like more than I thought I would. Like, I just loved it so much, and I cannot wait to read the rest of them. I have to wait a little bit though because the rest of the audiobooks in the series won't be on Scribd until July 12th. So I have a few more days, so I'm just trying to be patient and wait, but it's so hard because I'm so ready for more. But yeah, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. The next book I read is like a new favorite, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. And I heard about this on Riley's channel, and she just talked about how she like had to like immediately reread it and how good it was and how brutal it is. It's this epic high fantasy about this girl who has to go to like this elite military academy, and it is just everything. I loved it. Like, okay, I'm thinking about it, and it's kind of like The Name of the Wind meets Nevernight in a way, sorta. Like, I don't know. It's just like, if you love those two books, like, you'll really love this. It's so good. And like, everybody kept saying it was brutal, and I was like, I mean, sure, like, this is kind of graphic, but I mean, it's nothing that bad. Like, if you read a lot of epic high fantasy, I was like, I feel like you're not gonna be too shocked. But then there's a part, like, 450 pages in, and I'm just like, oh, shit. And then I'm like, oh, this must be what they were referencing. So yeah, there is a part about 450 pages in, and that's right when you're gonna be like, oh, okay. So, just a fair warning on that for you. But I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend. Definitely am gonna pick up all the other books this author comes out with, and I cannot wait until the sequel. I am dying. The next book I read was another audiobook I listened to at work, and this one unfortunately I didn't like that much, and that is Fairest of All by Sarah Milanowski. This was basically because the rest of the Land of Stories audiobooks weren't going to be out until July 12th. I went on Google and I was just like, books you'd like if you liked, the Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell, so that I could like see which ones were on Scribd and just listen to them at work. And Fairest of All was one that came up, and I was like, oh, okay. So then I listened to it and everything. And it wasn't that great. Like, it's a really fast audiobook. It's only 3 hours long, and I listened to it on 2 times speed, so it was like 1.5 hours for me, so I got it done super quick at work. But yeah, I just did not enjoy it that much. It was extremely juvenile. It's like one of those books, like, you definitely have to actually be the age of the target audience to enjoy it. So me being 22, I'm too old to enjoy it, I feel like. Because just of how juvenile it is, but I do think that like the intended audience that it's for will actually really enjoy the book. But I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was The Scorpion Rules by Erin Bow. This is actually a book that Kristen sent me because she had read it and she really enjoyed it and she wanted me to read it, so she sent it to me and I read it and it was really good. Like, the first little bit, it's because this really just drops you in. Like, there is like no info dumping at all. You just have to learn as you go, and it's just, you're very confused for a while because you're just like, I don't understand. But it's really good, and everything starts to come together the more that you read and everything, and I really enjoyed this. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I definitely want to get the sequel and read that and see what's gonna happen with all these characters and with all the stuff that is gonna go down. Okay, we're finally on the last 2 books, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then I have Kindle Unlimited now, and I was looking on there, and there's actually some manga on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, oh, I'll check some of these out. And the first one was And I Love You by Masha Inoue, and this basically is just like kind of like a collection of like romance stories, and it was really good. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Like, it wasn't the greatest thing ever, but I mean, it's like, it's Kindle Unlimited manga, so it probably, you can't expect too much, but it was better than I was expecting, and I really enjoyed some of the stories in there. It's kind of like short story romances in a manga form. I don't know, that's a little weird, but it works. And then the last book was A Tyrant in the Classroom, Volume 1, and I gave that, again, a 3 out of 5. Really interesting. It was really fast. Like, there were barely any pages in this manga. I think, like, 50. But yeah, it was really interesting, and I really enjoyed it, and that's really all I have on these. Yeah. So, again, not the greatest thing ever, but for Kindle Unlimited, I ain't mad about it. So, yeah, that's all the 30 books that I read this month. I am so sorry that this video is so long. I'm just looking at it, and it's almost 40 minutes long, and I am so upset. So I'm sorry, and I love you, and thanks for watching. And if you made it to the end, you are the real MVP. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later.